Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here. I have a game to discuss, an Eagles game to discuss more specifically. We play the Bengals this week, so I'm here to talk about that now. It's a touch late. It's like almost 1:30ish. It's about quarter after 1 in the morning. I promised Twitter a drunk preview video, so here it is. I was kind of looking forward to this week anyway because I feel like I actually have a little bit more to talk about. I feel like my first two, my Washington football team and LA Rams preview videos were a bit light, and that's partially because it's early in the season. Didn't have a whole lot to talk about, especially with like the Washington game because I hadn't seen them play at all because it was the first week of the season and there was no preseason. So I had no idea. And the Rams, I saw them play Dallas, but I still feel like I didn't have a whole lot to talk about because the Rams have been such an up and down team for the last couple of years. It's like one year they're in the Super Bowl, and then I think last year, what did they go, like 8-8, 9-7 kind of thing, missed the playoffs. And then this year, they look good again so far, but they've played us and Dallas. And honest to God, us and Dallas are both shitty teams. So it's tough to judge. When the Rams play the Seahawks, that'll be a true test, in my opinion. But this week, we're going to be talking about the Bengals, and I have a decent bit, I feel like, to talk about. Part of it's carryover from what I've seen from them last year compared to what they've looked like so far this year, and how I think our 2020 Eagles stack up against the 2020 Bengals. So the Bengals, to me, it's kind of a night and day. Their offense has a ton of potential at skill positions, and pretty much skill positions only. Pardon. Their receivers, I think, are really, really good. In my mind, a healthy AJ Green is still for me personally, he's still a top 5 receiver in the league if he's healthy. And he is thus far healthy. Auden Tate has shown flashes of absolute brilliance. Tyler Boyd, at this point, I don't really think needs much more of an introduction. People should have seen by now what he's been doing and what he's capable of. Tyler Boyd is a hell of a receiver. I personally thought he fit in when Green was hurt last year. I thought he fit in well, being the main receiver. And as a number 2 option, he is phenomenal. And then John Ross is back. It's been kind of a mixed bag for him since he's come back, but that's a different story. Last week, I could have talked about CJ Uzama, who I think is a fantastic tight end, and I think he gets overlooked oftentimes. But unfortunately, I can't really talk about him now because he was one of the 7 torn ACLs last week, which I already touched on, but that's just insane to me. 7 ACLs in 1 week. And that's just ACLs. It's not counting all the other injuries. Mostert, I think, was an MCL. Jimmy G messed up his knee. There were a couple shoulder injuries here and there. Lack of a training camp. Lack of a real training camp. And preseason. I kind of saw this coming, unfortunately. Joe Mixon, obviously, is a monster, and I've always been partial to Giovanni Bernard. I think, again, he's pretty overlooked because he's on a team that has historically been shitty. But Gio Bernard, by himself, put him on any team, and I think he's going to be a serviceable at worst, star at best running back. If you took, say, a Gio Bernard and put him behind, say, a Dallas offensive line or a Pittsburgh offensive line, fantastic. And that is where the issue comes in for the Cincinnati Bengals, and I could have said this every year for probably the last 3 or 4 years. Their offensive line is terrible. Like, up there in conversation with worse than the NFL terrible. I think that was a big part of Andy Dalton's failures in Cincinnati was their offensive line was awful, and management just didn't seem to care enough to go out and fix the problem. Cincinnati has had brilliant offensive linemen in the past. In the Andy Dalton era, Greco, the guard, fantastic, but he is now gone. Kevin Zeitler, the tackle, again, fantastic. In his prime, he was top 3 at tackle in the NFL, but he is also now gone. Cincy's offensive line is terrible. I don't know how else to say it. The couple times I sat down and watched and got a chance to watch full Bengals games, not just the highlights, but actually sit down and watch the Bengals play last year, that was the same thing that kept coming to my mind every single game. Dalton, or whoever was starting quarterback at the time, had no time in the pocket, no protection whatsoever. The receivers were making great catches, the backs were doing what they could, the quarterback was doing what they could, but there's only so much you can do behind a dog shit offensive line. And they have a dog shit offensive line. Their defense is, I think calling it a mixed bag would be generous. Depends on the game, I suppose. Geno Atkins is a stud. I think he's still a stud. Dunlap is a great pass rusher. Their defensive line, pretty solid. Go up to the second level and you start to run into problems. Their secondary, not great. So I think that's where we might have our shot. I think we're going to have better chance in the pass game than the run game. But I don't know. I still think our run game has the potential to get going this weekend. I'm not fond of Cincinnati's secondary. Now, Carson Wentz has to step up. Carson Wentz did not play. The first week against the Redskins, he took 8 sacks. His offensive line was awful. His receivers weren't helping him out. His coach wasn't helping him out. Kind of gave him a little bit of a pass for week 1. Now, week 2, the offensive line played much better. The receivers played better. His coach, still don't think the coach helped him out a whole lot. But Wentz was bad. He was bad. He's going to have to step up this week if we need to win this game. Because starting 0-3 is not a good idea. It's never a good idea in general, but I don't like what happens if we start 0-3 this season. Looking at our schedule down the road, I don't like what happens if we start the season 0-3. And the Bengals have gotten the better of us more often than not in the past. Do I think that'll be the case this week? No, I don't. But 4 years ago when we played the Bengals, we lost by double digits. And I did not necessarily see that coming either. So it's different now. Obviously, Dalton is gone. And we get to play Joey Burrow, who, again, it's been a bit of a mixed bag. But he's a rookie. It's to be expected, especially playing behind that offensive line. I'm trying to think. The first week he looked okay. The rushing touchdown was nothing short of magnificent. Outside of that, he had some good throws here and there, but the offense couldn't really get it done when they needed to. Last week, the Bengals offense played well. The Bengals defense, not so much. So I don't put a whole lot of that game on Joe Burrow. Do I think Joe Burrow is the kind of quarterback that's going to come and light up a defense every game? Not yet. I'm just not sure I see it happening this year. The biggest thing we're going to need to do Sunday is contain the running game. Contain Mixon, contain Bernard, and I think that should make the game a lot easier. That makes the game a lot easier no matter who you play, but especially when you're playing a rookie quarterback behind an awful offensive line at pass blocking. Contain the run game, and theoretically you should be good to go. I say theoretically because this team has broken my heart many times before. It's the life of a Philly fan. So, see, this is fun. Like I told you, I feel like I had some stuff to talk about with Cincinnati as opposed to Washington and the Rams. The corners are going to need to match up well. Green is going to be a problem, but I think Slay can handle him. Tate and Boyd are going to be problems. I'm guessing Maddox will match up against Boyd quite a bit. That could be a problem. Like I said, Boyd's a hell of a receiver. But I've got faith in Maddox. I think he can handle it. And I think he can handle it if our pass rush gets home, which I think our pass rush will get home. Graham and Cox and those guys, I think against that Cincinnati offensive line, I think they should have a good day. And Burrow isn't exactly what I'd call a mobile quarterback. He can move if he needs to, but it's not like we're playing Russell Wilson or Kyler Murray or Lamar Jackson. So I think the pass rush should have an okay day, which should lead to a good day in the secondary, hopefully. Theoretically, that's how it works. That's how it works in my head. But again, the Eagles have broken my heart before. So take what I say with a grain of salt. See, what are we at? 12 and a half minutes. Is that what I've got? I think that's what I've got. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to talk about coming up this week. The Monday night game, I'm looking forward to a lot. I think I touched on this Wednesday, but Ravens Chiefs, man, I'm looking forward to a shootout. I think that game's going to be quite exciting if I make it back in time. Life updates. I'm buying a car, brand new car, Hyundai Elantra. Put a down payment on it already, so it's mine. Just have to get insurance so I can actually bring the thing home and start driving it. So insurance is in the works. I'm going back up next week to get the car. So I'll have a new car this week. But I'm going back up to the dealership Monday night. So hopefully I'll be home in time to catch the game. If not, I'll hit the record button and I'll stay up a touch later. It happens. Worth it. Let's see, anything else? I can't think of anything else. Like I said, I promised Twitter this video tonight, and like I said, the schedule I was trying to keep was Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, so I haven't fallen asleep yet, so it's still technically Friday for me. Yeah, I think I've covered what I needed to cover. Yep, I think I'm done with this. I'm gonna head back to listening to music now. I've been listening to music for the last probably 3 hours. So I'm gonna head back off and do that. Get this video started, get it posted. So yeah, that's what I've got. If you're watching this and you're not following my Twitter will be down here in the description box. Go hit me up on Twitter. You can tell me how insane I am, or how much you agree with my ranting. Either or, I'll take it. Have a good evening, everybody. I'll see you on Twitter on Sunday, definitely. I'll be live tweeting. And I'll see you back here on YouTube either Monday or Tuesday, depending on if anything crazy happens before the Monday night game. Peace out. Have a good evening.